Hello, hello. Hola, good morning, good evening. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you all are doing well. It's going to be a great time today. Just get my stuff adjusted here. Apologies about the background noise. Yeah, we're going to be getting started here very shortly with some matches between Cheif and Kaalhaarman. We're getting towards the end of the BBB tournament that has been ongoing for quite some time. I've casted a bunch of games and series from it. You can check the playlist if you want to see more. But here we are now. This is the semi-final, so the winner of this goes on to face... let's see here. I actually closed the browser page. Okay. So here we are. Get this over here, and... Okay, so... hold on, guys. Okay, so if we take a look here, this is the playoff bracket. You can see Blood Penguin and Handedins faced off in the last semifinal bracket. So now we've got Kaalhaarman versus Cheif here. The winner goes on to the grand final. So we're just waiting for everyone to get situated here. It should be a few minutes before we get started. So be sure to grab a glass of your favorite drink. Pull up some popcorn or some whatever your preferred snack is. Some chips and salsa maybe, or... man, I have to say... Played Dungeons and Dragons this week with my brother and some friends, and we absolutely housed like three cases of salsa. So that was delicious. Definitely on my top snack of all time, I think, in terms of like something to enjoy while you're watching something. Anyway, hope you all are doing well. Welcome, and let's get this thing rolling shortly. Getting everything set up on my end. Welcome, welcome. In now. Okay, so they're going to do the picks and bans here, and I will announce them as they do it. So, Kaalhaarman is going to go Demons of Chaos, ban Bretonia, Cathay, and Empire. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. Cheif has to ban first. Okay, so they're gonna redo that. Cheif is not banning Demons of Chaos, so let's see. Let's see what they do. I would like to get a nice graphical interface set up for the picks and bans eventually, but we're not quite there yet. Maybe for next season of the South Sea Mercenary League, which I'm gonna have to push to July. I was hoping I could host it like basically right now, kind of in like late May to early June, but it didn't end up working out that way. That's totally fine. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really had time to play Warhammer all that much. So yeah, what I have seen of the Grail Knights is pretty insane. I should mention, actually, it's kind of hilarious that I put Harry the Hammer in the thumbnail, because he's actually banned from this semi-final and finals. Same for Grail Knights, they're just too strong, and so they're banned. The Grail Guardians are restricted to, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else since the 3.1 update. I guess I could actually check right here real quick. Yeah, Pump Wagons are banned also because they're still broken, and I think Chaos Dwarfs as a whole are still just banned because they fixed some things and made some other things insanely OP, so yeah. It's an interesting time to be playing Warhammer for sure, but I'm hoping I can get some time to get some games in. Possibly Monday or Tuesday, we'll see. I just got some travel. I was just in Las Vegas, and now I'm going to be traveling to Idaho, to near Yellowstone. Not quite Yellowstone, but pretty close. And that will be happening not obviously this weekend, but next weekend. So between all that and a big load of work projects for my day job, I haven't had much time at all to play. So mainly Grail Knights are the thing that's like extremely broken. Yeah, what's OP for Chaos Dwarfs? Oh, that specifically is The trains seem to be very strong. I haven't had a lot of chance to try them out for myself. Yeah, the trains... Oh, okay, that makes more sense, Cool Umbrella. Chaos Dwarfs are banned since we played the whole season without them. Yeah, because this tournament began back when... before Chaos Dwarfs were even released. Back in, like, what, January, February? So... Yeah, I get that, Ethelwolf, and, like, honestly, when Creative Assembly fixes Grail Knights, I might make a mod for people who want the old-style Grail Knights, especially in campaigns, that they can get them, but it's definitely way, way too strong right now, so... Yeah, I mean, and according to a lot of people, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but according to the lore experts, quote-unquote, right, this is how Grail Knights probably should be. Okay, sure, but from a game balance perspective, it's just not doable. Like, I understand, as cool as I think it is as well, and I think it is pretty cool. Like, it's maybe the best cavalry unit ever in Total War, and that includes, like, Medieval 2, like heavy shock cavalry, which was absolutely insane, but also took a lot of damage on charges. Yeah. Grail Knights are just ridiculous, but awesome. But not balanced for multiplayer, so need some nerfs. Like I said, I'll probably honestly make a mod just for all the people who complain about, oh, your multiplayer balance is ruining my campaign, quote-unquote balance, which that's a whole rant for another day, but yeah, I'll probably just make a mod that restores the broken Grail Knights for fun. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be upset with them giving that treatment to a couple of other elite tier cavalry, mainly like Blood Knights. I think it would make sense for them to get a smaller model count and higher, you know, more elite monstrous status. And maybe Chaos Knights as well, honestly. I mean, they're already big enough that mechanically I think it would actually make them a lot better if they were lower model count but had a higher impact per model. Just because the unit models for Chaos Knights now are so big, they kind of get in each other's way a lot of the time, and oftentimes they end up struggling to be effective because of that. So I actually wouldn't hate them giving a similar treatment. Of course, they need to do it the right way and not completely break them, but you know, do a toned-down version of what they did for Grail Knights to both Blood Knights and Chaos Knights, I think would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, Bretonia's not getting many updates, it's true. And I don't know that they're going to be getting a DLC. I mean, we know at least they're not in the next 2 DLCs. So, don't buff any elite vampire counts units. It's asking for trouble. Yeah, I kind of get that to a degree, but, I mean, again, if you do it the right way, just to reduce their model count and make them more, I don't know, more elite somehow. Not necessarily in price, and like their performance should be about the same, more or less. I don't know, I don't really love Blood Knights right now, oftentimes, but yeah, it's something between old and current Grail Knights, but for all elite cav. I think that's a good way to sum it up, for sure. Should be starting shortly. They're still just working through the picks of bands for the moment. And then we'll get started shortly, so yeah. They're just, they're getting their stuff picked right now. I'm just keeping the screen blocker up so that I don't reveal anything. Yeah, making Blood Knights more of a monstrous cav unit would give Black Knights more of a use case. I agree with that for sure. Would give her more of a differentiation. I also think that, like, if we take it back to the Empire, Demigryph Knights should probably just get a tier upgrade to 700 and also get, like, a stat, you know, like 1600, 1700, and get a little bit of a stat buff to kind of put them up a tier to be able to compete with those, because right now they oftentimes just can't. But, yeah, if you nerf the acceleration, I honestly think that Grail Knights get much closer to where they need to be. I don't know. I think Wood Elf Cavs are actually really good right now. In the last patch, they're... Actually, the Wood Elf Cavalry set the standard for all other cavalry in the game, basically, is what happened. Because what they did for the Wood Elf Cavalry in 3.0 was so well received, and it worked so well in terms of Wild Riders and Stag Knights. They basically did that for a bunch of other cavalry, right? Like, the Wild Riders mass got exported to, like, yeah, like, well, why can't I think of the name? Not Winged Lancers, the Griffin Legions, that's right. And some other kind of elite shock cavalry. They sort of defined that standard of, I think it was, yeah, like shock cavalry just in general, having about 1200 mass. So, yeah, I think Wood Elf Cavs are in a very good position last time I checked. But Demons of Chaos have way cheaper Lord options now. Will that help them be competitive? I'm not sure, to be honest. The Heralds, do they have access to the Heralds now? I guess I could look real quick since I have the screen blocker up. Gonna be giving anything away. Yeah, I mean, the Heralds are quite good, honestly. Especially like the Slanesh Herald with the Fury summon, although she's very squishy, still can be quite strong. Looking here. I mean, the Nurgle Herald also at times has been pretty decent. Same thing, Tzeentch Herald gives you a really cheap platform for Blue Fire, which is really nice. And then the Khorne Herald is kind of here. I guess if you want to not take a Caster Lord, he's an option. And you want to take a cheap non-Caster Lord. I don't know really why you would, but yeah. Anyway. Still just waiting on them to get their picks and everything, or army picks even, locked in. So we'll just continue chatting about stuff and things. And here. Yeah, other changes to the patch. Harry the Hammer, although he does kind of break some of the matchups, especially in land battles, I'm actually, like, totally fine with that. I mean, literally since the beginning of Warhammer 1, Warriors of Chaos have had a bad matchup against Vampire Counts, to the point where it was, like, two equally skilled tournament players. It was almost completely unwinnable for the most part of the last many years since Warhammer 1 was released, right? It's been how long? And now, finally, the matchup has flipped, where if you take Harry, it's... I'm not going to say it's an auto win for Warriors of Chaos, but it's much easier, let's say. And all of a sudden, everyone's freaking out about it. So, I'm fine with that. I haven't tried Vampire Coast or Tomb Kings enough to really say. But, I mean, certainly I can agree it does break that matchup. But I'm also totally fine with it breaking that matchup. And in fact, if that matchup stayed broken for the next 5 years, I think it would be justice. That's just me, and understand that I have a deep-seated hatred of undead, so there's that. But, yeah, I don't know. Harry the Hammer has been banned from this tournament, I think also because, again, the tournament started way before he was added. So, I'm definitely going to be allowing him in my tournaments, though, and I might even take, you know, give you a prize if you get the most wins with Harry the Hammer in a tournament or something. I don't know. But just, yes. You gotta respect the undead hate. Gotta stay consistent. I can't let up even for a minute, to be honest. I say this as, I guess I should tell you guys. I'm actually working on a mod. I'm trying to teach myself how to mod Age of Wonders. I haven't done many videos on it because I still have not figured out a format. I've recorded a couple things and I just wasn't happy with the end result, so I'm not 100% sure the format that I want to do for Age of Wonders, but yes, I'm making a mod, which is actually like a Vampire Coast, basically, mod for Age of Wonders. Like, it adds a tier 4 Shadow Tome that gives you some, like, water synergy abilities, lets you recruit the ghost ship that's in the game that's currently unrecruitable, and some other things. But, yeah, even with my deep-seated hatred of undead, the first mod I'm making for Age of Wonders is undead-related, because undead in that game are strong, but they're a lot less toxic, for sure, so... Yeah, Nagash will probably fix whatever problems the undead get. Although, it doesn't seem like we're getting Nagash anytime soon. I would imagine that's going to be like a 2024, 2025 type deal. So... I don't have any experience in asset creation, so in order to create like Greek, Roman, Egyptian cultures, or just different cultures in general, I would need to learn how to create like custom models and stuff, because I don't necessarily want to just recycle what's in the game. So that'd be fun though, definitely. Someone did make an outlaw culture, which is what actually I played a game, outlaw culture, basically like I went full undead basically, right? So like a Vampire Coast playthrough more or less, and it's what inspired me to make this mod, because I saw some of those ghost ships in the game. They're like one of the wildlife units you have to fight. They're not recruitable in any way, which made me a little bit sad, honestly. They're like a tier 5 naval unit that's super strong, so I want it. So I decided to just put it in a mod if I can. I've been banging my head against the wall a little bit. Age of Wonders modding is not the most difficult, but it is definitely something to learn. So, I don't know. I like learning new things, so it's been an enjoyable experience so far. I've kind of run out of time to work on it, though, over the next, probably until July, honestly, so... Who knows? Maybe I'll finish it up then, but maybe not. Alright, looks like these guys are pretty much ready, so we're going to be getting started here shortly. Let me just make sure I got the scoreboard all ready. And looks like they're going to be loading in. So, Kaalhaarman did indeed go with Demons of Chaos. And it looks like Cheif went with the High Elves. Very nice choice. Love to see that. All right, here we are, ready to get started. Yeah, it's kind of nice, actually, just to get a chance to do a little chat here and just tell you guys my thoughts about various things. Tournament starts now, sir. Are you looking forward to playing Lizardmen in Age of Wonders 4? Yes, actually. Definitely looking forward to doing a dragon playthrough with Lizardmen. And then hopefully finding a nearby, like, free town of the frogs, so I can pretend they're skinks and then subjugate them and, you know, get their units in the rally lieges. Oh, yes. It's going to be a good one, for sure. Age of Wonders has so much potential to do some different things, too, so I'm genuinely curious to see what they've got in store. And I need to start putting out some videos on it so that the developers know to give me things like fees or possible sponsorship deal. Would be nice. And the frogs are Slan. I know, but it's, yeah. You just have to make them skinny. There's no, skink people, so... Oh! Oh no, that's not good. Huh. Oh, wrong map? Okay. I see. No worries. Hey, what's up, Strat Game? Good to see you. Got Cool Umbrella in the house. All the BBB friends here also speaking Spanish. I understand a very tiny amount of Spanish, not enough to really speak it fluently at all. But appreciate you guys being here. And yes, all the rest as well, of course. Edwin, GS, Kashki, Bubba. I'm going to miss some people, but yes. Thank you all for being here. It's going to be a good time. Blue Reach River is going to be the map for this first game. Let's have some fun. Okay, I can probably put this out here, streamline some things, just make it easy to follow the action. Okay. Yeah, the new RORs, I think all the new RORs are pretty good, honestly. Like, I'd have to go through, and certainly the Kislev one is maybe the best I've seen so far, mostly just due to its unit role being something that Kislev 100% lacked. The Cathay one is the only one I haven't really seen used much, but, I mean, the Siege one seems like an auto-include just for the extra ammunition. The spears for Slanesh are also pretty cost-effective. They're a little bit squishy for how expensive they are, but at the same time, Soporific Musk pairs so well with so many things. It's like, you know, it's like salt. Goes with everything. And, yeah, let's see. What other ones am I missing? The Flesh Hounds I actually haven't used too much myself yet or seen used, but we'll see them used here. We've got the Hounds of the Hunt with their dampened contact effect, which for demons specifically, I mean, even for just base Khorne, but especially for demons undivided, it's quite nice to remove those magical attacks on key units. Got the chromatic aberrations with their load of ammunition, the Blood Soul Grinders of Nurgle, Flamers, Bellicor up in the sky, and the Heralds of Khorne's Fury, the classic Regiment of Renown. I say classic just because they came out some time ago, which is kind of hilarious to think about, but yes, here they are. Heralds of Khorne's Fury with their weakness to fire ability and everything else. There, Nurglings up front. Let's take a look at the High Elves. We've got Imrik up in the sky and a huge, wide, staunch line of spears and archers. But looking for a lot of numbers here. Got some Dragon Princes also with some Reavers, Lore of Life, Mage. Yeah, more Reavers. So a lot of volume to support Imrik, but Imrik himself is going to have to do some pretty serious heavy lifting here. Genuinely interested to see how it plays out. I mean, certainly the Soul Grinders seem potentially pretty dangerous to this High Elf build, but because the value is quite spread out, maybe that they can just kind of weather the storm, so we'll see. Hey, thanks, BF Flyer. I appreciate that. Butcher Bird, hello, hello. Salt is meant to chase away evil things to come to your doors. Well, turns out I live in a city called Salt Lake City. So, it turns out I just live in the salt. Salt is omnipresent all around me, and as such, maybe I see it as a positive thing. I don't know. I'm talking about more in like a cooking context, right? Like if pretty much any dish, even caramel, if you think about it, goes good with salt. You have salt in everything, and arguably Americans eat way too much salt. That's probably a discussion for another day. I'm certainly no scientist or nutritionist, but man, these Hornhounds, I don't think I've looked at them up close yet, actually, personally. They do look really nice in 4K, it must be said. I love the blackened color scheme. Look nice and crispy.
In the damp
Oh yeah, that guy right there especially.
This time I win.
Yes. Let's take a look. Imric's gonna kind of power forward here. And in terms of scouting, the demons here do lack to a certain degree. They don't have a lot of fast units here, and their build is pretty tall. Not a lot of models. It's not often that high elves are outnumbering their opponents more than 2 to 1 on model count, but here we are. Let's see how it plays out. I'm pretty curious, but looks like the Soul Grinders are going to come forward and start to unleash some of their artillery loads here. Be'lakor is acting like he wants to take this engagement with Imric, and I'm not sure. It's going to be quite a bit of RNG between these two. I mean, there's a fair degree of parity, actually, believe it or not. Especially, you know, Shadow Shroud with some other effects there. Lord of Dragons gets popped at the same time, so should be a fairly even trade. And as a result, it's basically a coin flip, I think. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats right here, and unless there's some hidden interactions I'm not aware of, I mean, Imric does have a lot more weapon strength. 80 extra weapon strength is fairly significant, so we'll see. I'm pretty interested to see how that engagement plays out. But yeah, I would think that Be'lakor would not want to take that engagement. Come just hard land over here somewhere. Imric, though, does have some fire and missile resistance. Still doesn't want to get blanketed by those flamers. And yeah, Be'lakor does hard land in between the Soul Grinders. Definitely the right call. But right now, Kaalhaarman just patiently waiting. Cheif trying to get into a good position here. Also just patiently advancing. Could get his archers a little bit forward. This spear is also pretty far out of position. I don't know if they're trying to make a little flanking attack here, but the Hounds of the Blood Hunt do have Strider, but they're not going to want to take this engagement, obviously, with these Dragon Princes. So Dragon Princes are deployed. Be'lakor is going to swoop down here, and then here comes Imric as well. You can see more Reavers emerging from the forest, and we're going to get a nicely placed Pit of Shades here. Going to do quite a bit of damage to these Dragon Princes. Oh, the mage is on a chariot. Wow, I didn't even notice that. That's awesome. That's so cool. I love that so much, even though the chariot is arguably not crazy useful. I actually like it in some ways, mostly because it gives the mage a good amount of armor. 110 armor, plus the 84 speed is a high degree of survivability as long as you don't get stuck in something that's going to do a lot of damage. But those Hounds of the Blood Hunt just get absolutely crumped by Dragon Princes. Meanwhile, Imric is taking some pretty significant damage. He's got Dark Master on him, combined with Dragonhorn to only somewhat debuff his melee attack. Dragon Princes are going to be able to swing in, though, and help support this engagement. Will it be enough? Imric is taking fairly serious damage. We've got more spears and Reavers coming in. Oof, the Heralds of Khorne's Fury are going to rear charge the Dragon Princes. Their fire resistance will help them somewhat here, but it's still a pretty potent unit to be entangled with in this situation. The mage is also getting in here on the chariot and getting some attack animations in on Be'lakor, so suddenly things kind of turn against Be'lakor as all of this support from the High Elves just floods in with the Spearmen and the Reavers and so forth. Yeah, Be'lakor definitely having a tough time. Meanwhile, the archers of the High Elves pull up and just start focusing on Flamers. Yeah, it looks like they're focusing the Flamers right now. They've managed to wear through the barrier fairly significantly. Reavers up on this side, too, can penetrate in this back line, try and mop up some of those missile units. But Imric's definitely taken a pretty severe beating here. And, oh, the Flamers are starting to open up on this Cav blob. Oh, man. Yeah, those Reavers just getting absolutely roasted and terrified away. Mage terrifies away immediately as well. So, Cheif's got to be careful not to take too much damage. Let the Mage come back from route, get some healing on Imric before he takes another big engagement. But looks like he's going to stay kind of forward here a little bit, get a little breath attack in. It's nice damage on those Heralds of Khorne's Fury. Another Pit of Shades in the back line, too, on those archers as they're a little bit blobbed up. But the chromatic aberrations have been punished fairly severely. Reavers also getting a nice charge into the Flamers. And they get shut down quite quickly. They're forced to move out of position. Will they take enough damage to actually disintegrate? It looks like not. They're able to screen through the Blue Horrors and the Soul Grinders well enough, but lack of volume is definitely starting to be a pretty big problem for the demons, as their units, especially their ranged units, just are not able to operate successfully. Yeah, the two Soul Grinders especially have... I mean, they're pretty potent in melee, it must be said, and they're not pushovers by any means. But, yeah, their missile attack so far has been fairly unimpactful. And Chromatic Aberrations have, you know, all of their ammunition left as well. Flamers, more than half their ammunition. So it's been tough for demons shooting here as the High Elves Zerg, which is not something you say super often. Absolute horde of High Elves here. Ah, yes. Looking decent for the High Elves right now, but Imric here gets a little bit caught up in the double Soul Grinders, takes some damage, is going to eat a regrowth there. Even if the High Elves are able to beat the rest of the army, except for these 3 single entities, though, they could carry it for the Demons of Chaos, so Imric does need to start trying to work them down. I mean, certainly Be'lakor's taken enough damage that he is going to have to be very careful. He's not completely ineffective, but he does have to be very careful about how he deploys. Be'lakor at this point probably should hard land right now and try and trap Imric with the 2 Soul Grinders. That's going to be the best case scenario, but instead he takes the engagement in the air with the Shadow Shroud active. That 60% damage resistance certainly counts for something. Imric, though, pops his Dragon Horn. It's going to give a nice attack buff map-wide to everything that's fighting, and if we take a look here, it is pretty much just the single entities left for the demons at this point, and of course the High Elf Archers are going to have something to say about this as well. 90 armor on Soul Grinders is good, must be said, but against this massive High Elf Archers focusing fire, it's not going to be enough. So we'll see. The High Elves can get set and start shooting without getting too blobbed up. The key for the Soul Grinders, if they can disentangle themselves and kind of shoot and scoot, right, and try and kite the archers away, that would be pretty good. This engagement is also a little bit dangerous for Cheif as he takes it. Does have the cavalry supporting, which is nice to a degree, but tried to get a little attack there on Be'lakor. Dark Master gets popped to nerf Imric's melee attack. Wisely is going to pull away there, but another bit of shades getting lined up from Be'lakor. It's going to do a lot of damage to those spearmen. Thankfully, the cavalry are mostly able to get away for Cheif, but yeah. Demons are struggling pretty badly at this point. Kaalhaarman's getting pretty close to army losses, so he's got to be careful not to take too much more HP damage. If Be'lakor goes down here, I think also he probably gets army lost. We'll see. Brutal vertical breath attack straight down on Be'lakor's face. It's going to do quite a bit of damage to him, and another Lord of Dragons gets popped. There's not a lot that Be'lakor can do to stop this at this point. Even with the Soul Grinders directly nearby, they're still not going to be able to save Be'lakor, I don't think. He's 811 HP, so just a couple more attacks from Imric will finish him off. So see if he can escape through the woods here and hold his leadership intact. He's going to make a run for it through the trees. Meanwhile, this Soul Grinder gets caught up by Reavers, and this massive spears, too, will help to, yeah, it looks like Kaalhaarman's going to throw in the towel there, so yeah. He was not able to kite effectively with his Soul Grinders, and the cavalry, just the massive light cavalry for Cheif was pretty important here. Even though the Reavers, only one of them actually pays for themselves, the tactical usage of just getting that consistent pressure, and like I understand this build to a degree, but I think taking these excess missile units is kind of overkill. Like, as much as I love the Chromatic Aberrations, you didn't get a chance to use them. And I feel like because of how low the model count is in this build, it's going to be tough to get a chance to use them against especially a wider High Elf player. So in hindsight, I'd probably cut these two for extra mobility, like take some extra Flesh Hounds in order to kind of screen some of those Reavers and allow the Soul Grinders to kite a little bit more. But credit to Cheif playing that very well, taking the right engagements with Imric. Beautiful ambush, too, it must be said, out of the woods with those Dragon Princes to just shut down the Hounds of the Blood Hunt right away, which definitely kind of set the tone for the whole battle. The lack of mobility really punished there. And again, a little bit of an odd choice. The Heralds of Khorne's Fury, I get you want a high-impact cavalry, but I'd probably take a Slaanesh cavalry instead, just because these guys deal fire damage. Dragon Princes are definitely a risk. I don't know how much it ended up mattering. They almost still paid for themselves regardless, so anyway, good game overall, though. And let's go ahead and let these guys set up their next matchup. I'll update the scoreboard. A point for Cheif. on the board, and we'll go to the next one. Classic Imric High Elf Horde build is pretty potent, honestly, because the High Elf low-tier, quote-unquote, units are really like mid-tier units in disguise, and they're pretty solid. I mean, en masse like that in a supporting role. They're not going to win the game by themselves oftentimes, but when Imric needs to do the heavy lifting, they can allow him to do so. Nice one. Yeah, I definitely I agree to an extent with the idea of the Soul Grinder kiting, especially in that matchup. Again, I think he had the wrong support units. Ultimately ended up costing him, but there you go. GG indeed. Thanks, thumbs up. Thanks for the thumbs up. Yeah, likes help with the algorithm quite a bit, so I appreciate that. Let's get the music back up. Accidentally closed that out. Fine. Oh. All right. Have a drink of water real quick. Right back, actually. Alright, I am returned, and like it's Kaalhaarman's turn to pick and ban, so we'll let him get his thoughts together and get the picks going. Change the map, right. I'll remind him. All right, sweet Cliff of Beasts, nice classic open map. No woods, which definitely is interesting. Where's this music from? This is the legendary Medieval 2 Total War soundtrack. In my opinion, hey, my pleasure. In my opinion, it is the best Total War soundtrack. Warhammer, a lot of tracks from Warhammer I love, especially like the Order theme from Warhammer 1 that is like the Empire, Dwarfs, Bretonia. Originally was the Wood Elves, but I actually really like that they gave the Wood Elves the Lizardmen musical theme. I think it fits them better. The Skaven one is pretty iconic too, honestly. I don't love the High Elf and Dark Elf ones, but I guess they represent their factions well enough. Yeah. But the Med 2 legendary, its soundtrack is just legendary. It's goated, honestly. It's yes. I use it for all my streams because it's just so epic. Oh, yes, okay. So, Pharaoh. I guess I could talk about Pharaoh a little bit here. There's not a lot to say. I mean, it's a Total War game. It seems to be more of a return to form for a true historical game, which is something that a lot of people are going to want to see. Me personally, I actually am probably more excited about it as a result of that, rather than them trying to strike a balance between historical and fantasy, kind of mythological, right? Like they did with Troy, and to a degree, Three Kingdoms. I personally think that the historical one should stay distinct. I mean, Warhammer does the fantasy gameplay experience so well, and as a definite enjoyer of all the classic Total War historical games, I think that those definitely can stand on their own without those fantasy elements just fine. So I'm actually mildly hyped to play the campaign for Pharaoh. I mean, the battle experience it's what we want. It's Total War. It's I've got a couple more videos coming on it, and especially the siege battles seem quite promising. Oh, the music's getting a little loud. Let's tone that back a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's historical Total War, which I know a lot of people have been pining for. So certain aspects of the community are going to be quite excited. Some people are not going to care, which is totally fine too. But I definitely will play it. How much I'll feature it on the channel remains to be seen. Probably not a lot, but I have some ideas. Yeah, this song is a banger for sure. If you want to like sling some weights, definitely throw this on your gym playlist. Duke of Death is the name of this track specifically, and it goes so hard. This one, Crack Your Head with a Tabla is the one I always open with on my pre-stream, because that one is the most bangerest of bangers, in my opinion, on this whole soundtrack. But this Duke of Death is definitely a true banger too, for sure. Battle of Toland's also pretty good too. Alright, looks like they went Empire and Greenskins, so let me update the factions real quick. Oh man, I love that build for Greenskins. Look at that. Oh no, wait, that's the wrong one. Love the Empire build as well. Karl Franz and a steam tank? Really? Wow, okay, so we're getting a little wild with it, guys. I love to see it. I love to see it. Oh, hold on, I misspelled Greenskins. Yes, Savage Pig Riders, and their Savage Pig Rider leader, of course, Wurzag. So we should be in for a great time. Although Wurzag is very snipeable in this matchup by Karl. Karl has to be super careful about how he's deployed. So we'll see. It's going to be super interesting. I'm excited for this. Steam tank against Greenskins. I'm going to be honest, I've done it before, and it's worked for me before. If the Greenskins actually... Actually, haven't tried it in quite some time, but this build probably has enough cavalry and tools to deal with it, but sometimes the Greenskins won't take the right tools to deal with the steam tank. Because it's not necessarily always welcome, humanoid. Nice to see you here. The tools for countering Empire heavy cavalry are not always the same tools for countering a steam tank. There's some overlap there for sure. But like in this build, it's going to have to be a surround with maybe multiple characters, or else the Savage Orc Boarboy Biggins themselves. So did I get the... I just definitely got the factions backwards, didn't I? Yes, Cheif is playing the Empire. That's fantastic. Okay, let's update that real quick. No problem. I can just switch that. So, okay. There we go. Yeah, I mean, in this build, the Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins definitely have a lot of AP. And, I mean, the sword box is definitely an interesting call. We've got, yeah, Captain here, on foot, Jade Wizard, the Steam Tank up front. Newly buffed greatswords are actually pretty good now. I haven't had a chance to try them out myself, but based on reports I've seen from people, they seem pretty solid. Tattersouls, I just don't know. Lack of heavy cavalry here could be a little bit of a problem. Just regular archers as well, not even huntsmen. So, interesting, very interesting build from the Empire. As for, yeah, the Greenskins build, like I said, it's just a lot more traditional. We've got Wurzag, we've got a bunch of Savage, Boar Boys, and Biggins. Mangy Marauders, got some Savage Orcs themselves, some Goblins up front. Actually, haven't seen Savage Orcs that much, but they're a pretty solid DPS option. Yeah, I mean, they do a decent amount for you. But let's see here. Does he at least have Dwellers on the magic? No, it looks like just Earthblood. Super interesting. Super, super interesting. Yeah, it's like a sword box, which is definitely a choice. Not sure, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right now, the Steam Tank is kind of just mostly ineffectively shooting the Savage Orcs. It's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage there. But the main idea, I think, is just to use the Steam Tank as kind of a chariot. Try and, yeah, to do damage to all these infantry, but... Let's see here. I would probably actually use the Steam Tank to shoot directly at Wurzag, because its single target damage is pretty high. Like, if you actually snipe Wurzag, this becomes a lot easier, because you can then start terrifying away the rear charges with Karl and the Steam Tank itself. Various units, much easier. Must be said. Obviously, you're going to shut down his magics as well, so... Boxing like that would make you so nervous against the foot. Did he actually bring the foot? He did not. He brought Headbutt, though, which is going to be really nice in this circumstance. And the Orcs, the thing is, they can just charge straight into the Swordsman here, so... Yeah, it's going to be a pretty brutal upfront charge there for those Swordsmen. They're definitely taking some significant damage on all fronts, and they don't have a lot of ways to stop the Greenskins from just cycle charging in and out here. The Steam Tank itself is going to take a charge. The big boss comes in here with Wurzag, but wow, those Goblins terrified away already, along with the Savage Orc Boar Boys from Karl and the Steam Tank. So I guess Cheif's really just going to be relying on his terror as much as possible here to try and make sure the Greenskins don't... Oh, man, like a Purple Sun from Wurzag right now. Could you imagine? Oh, jeez. Surprised there's no Squigs. Me too, kind of, honestly. Squigs are so cheap, and they're so cost-effective for what they can do for you. But, yeah, let's see. Steam Tank's already taken some pretty significant damage. I think the Greenskins archers have been focusing on it to a degree. Karl's going to get a little charge over here. Let's watch him in action as the Greenskins horde wash up against the Empire horde here. Yeah, all the unused gold value in the spear line certainly is painful, but I think the idea here is just to kind of let these units stand and fight more or less, while prioritizing the micro almost entirely on the Steam Tank and on Karl cycle charging. Looks like Captain's been caught out here. He's going to get debuffed heavily and charged by multiple heroes. Wurzag, both the Goblin big bosses smashing him. But he's got the support of those Flagellants, and surprisingly, the Flagellants and the Greatswords are doing a very decent job trading. They're also taking some pretty significant damage, especially as Wa is popped. Going to give, obviously, a huge damage spike map-wide, and the Empire is definitely starting to run out of some troops as well, as their swordsmen take huge damage. And the spear line's just, again, just kind of holding for the time being, acting as a tactical reserve. They could try and swing some spears up and around, perhaps to support some of these cavalry, or send one out to help bail out some of these swordsmen that are being chased into oblivion, but unfortunately not. Rusty Air is taking care of the tank. Yeah, to a degree, although it is getting some healing as well, so as long as it doesn't take too much burst damage, he should be able to sustain it here. Karl also has taken very little damage, which is pretty important, especially because a lot of the tools that threaten Karl, mainly the Boar Boy Biggins, have actually been largely savaged here, just taking damage, you know, as they cycle charge in and out. The spears kind of moving. You see how he moved one of the reserve spears up front now, right? So it might seem like a noob strategy. People are going to call it noob boxing, but it's actually very calculated, and it seems to be working okay right now. We'll see. But the idea here is that the greater ranks, right, like the less infantry width gives you more mass. So the infantry can actually stand up a little bit better to charges from high mass units. But the regular swordsmen absorb the charge, right? So then the great swords and the flagellants can get in without having taken as much damage. Karl also just absolutely savaging the Savage Orcs. The steam tank in here fighting as well. Still has enough health to keep going and is even increasing in health. Reichland Runefang, stand your ground. I love the double combination of those two buffs to make your front line just absolutely slap. And the Greenskins are just having a hard time sustaining this assault. Like I said, the Boar Boy Biggins, which are the main threat to Karl, have taken pretty significant damage, and then suddenly I think we're going to see an effigy to get here. Yep, on Karl. He's also taking huge damage from the bows here, the Rusty Airs, and the Mangy Marauders focusing the last of their ammunition in on Karl. And if Karl suddenly gets reverse sniped here, that's going to be huge for the Greenskins. All of a sudden, that big old damage spike, and he is, yeah, debuffed and sent away. Thankfully, Karl did survive that from the Empire's perspective, but that is a pretty significant beatdown. And now Wurzag can just continue with those headbutts there. Really nice damage on that spear. Continue to concentrate value and try and break some units up on this flank. But Steam Tank still trolling around here. Is going to charge into Wurzag. Use its charge bonus to get some attacks there. Another Waz popped. Ooh, Waz popped right when Karl's going to charge in. That's super dangerous. He does get an upgraded Earthblood. Get him a bit more HP. And he's going to use the Steam Tank to screen and pull back up in the air here. But yeah, the relentless assault of the Greenskins, those boars cycle charging, I don't know, maybe the Greenskins have enough. They managed to kind of concentrate value all on one side. It's pretty smart of Kaalhaarman to do this, as Cheif is kind of unreactive in terms of moving his reinforcements around, so you might as well just concentrate all on one position and try and get a decisive break, but that also allows Karl and his army to concentrate their own value in terms of himself and the Steam Tank on this area. Let's see. Going to be pretty dangerous, but we're going to see a Fists of Gork here on these goblins. I'm not sure who that actually hit. Did it hit the Boar Boy Biggins here? Yeah, it looks like it hit the Boar Boy Biggins, who are quite low on HP and leadership. We'll see if they rout during this uptime, but they're definitely doing some pretty serious damage here. Another Earthblood, and Wurzag taking a hit from Karl there. So definitely anyone's game at this point. Empire's got some units coming back from rout and kind of coming back in square formation here. Greenskins doing their best to chase all these routing units off. This might be super important as the game drags on, but at the same time, the balance of power is starting to turn a little bit against the Greenskins as their characters take damage. Again, Greenskin leadership is very flimsy, so that leadership disappears in terms of their units, right, like the actual characters, then their unit leadership will disappear, if you know what I mean. That was a very confusing turn of phrase, but yeah, hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, yeah, a little tear route there, and the push that had been ongoing, that was feeling very successful, is starting to collapse a little bit, but just in time. The other side is going to have another push here with the Savage Boar Biggins. Karl responds beautifully with the Steam Tank right on time, right on target where they need to be in order to terrify away the boars once again. So, oof, Karl though, the Gobbo boys are lurking. They managed to get screened by some great swords. Unfortunately, they're some of the lightest cavalry characters in the game, so they get stopped up by pretty much any infantry. Yeah, several Empire units are still fresh. That's a good thing to point out. the way that the Empire has been playing here in terms of keeping the tactical reserves, having those units still be fresh. Like, we see these greatswords here are active, fresh on these spearmen, fresh on these spearmen, right? So that is a pretty good point as well. Carl's also been managing pretty well with the Foe Seeker there in order to refresh his own vigor. He's feeling active as well, so that could be a pretty important difference. Most of the Greenskins units are going to be either tired or exhausted here, so that is a very good point for sure. Tactical reserves are often a valid playstyle, it must be said, as long as you can afford to keep them in reserve until you can't. And I guess that's kind of the point, right? But anyway, stand your ground being popped once again as the Greenskins make another big push. Poor boy Biggins charging in. And the steam tank just holding its ground. Lots of Greenskins screaming. Yeah, I think it's a GG. Looks like Empire is going to be able to clutch it out. Steam Tank gets a couple of shots on Wurzag to try and close out his leadership. Oh no, Captain might pay the price here though. Will the Captain survive? Yes, he will. There it is. So, what a game. Wow, GG. I know some people aren't going to love that play style, but it worked. I mean, and to a degree it also makes sense. Just form up, and especially the extra ranks, right? The, like, making your infantry formation narrower, but with extra ranks. Makes them absorb charges better. The meat shield sword front line, I was questioning at first, but it actually worked out very well. Great swords, the flagellants were able to come in and hold the line well enough. Spearmen also, a couple of them got pretty nice value. The archers too, 700 value on archers, just fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it's just a nice combined arms win, to be honest. Value's fairly well spread out between everything, which is nice to see. And for the Greenskins, definitely had some leadership issues. The Boar Boy Biggins also weren't able to pay for themselves. In fact, none of the Boars paid for themselves, so I mean, they maybe expected more of a cavalry-centric build as a result. And definitely some, like, rock lobbers would have obviously punished this very heavily. But, yeah, 1720 on those Mangy Marauders. If you could take 4 Mangy Marauders, Greenskins would be hilarious. But you can't, unfortunately. Maybe just some more archers as well, like just some regular old Orc Airboys, Savage Orc Airboys. It's tough to predict what your opponent will bring, but it's definitely interesting to see that, especially in land battles, how the building your army is like half the game often. But still got to execute, and both players executed decently. It was just that I think Cheif had a little bit better of a plan here, and I'm obviously biased towards the Empire, I'll admit, but I'd like to see that for sure. So we'll put another point on the board for Cheif. And let's go ahead and get to the next game shortly. GG. Box battle is actually fun to watch, and a lore-friendly box, I must say. Yeah, I mean, like I said, to a degree it makes sense. Hold the line, get nice and tight, not let any gaps form, and just hold out against an assault. Solid defense, everything just kind of fighting back. The terror also super key. And I mean, if you want to have some fun, it's definitely less competitive. You can't obviously take a double Griffin with the Empire. You can take the regular, Griffin character, probably Boris in that case, because you don't have any healing, because your caster will be an Amber Wizard with Lore of Beasts in the other slot. Sometimes people take Felix also as a ground character so that you can, like, charge either. I mean, Boris has his own self-healing, so he doesn't really need it, but the Amber Wizard can charge in and fight near Felix if he wants to get a little bit of passive healing. It's a little bit janky, not very efficient, but it's something you can do. And it gives you, multiple terror sources. You can't even take a steam tank with that if you want. It's really expensive, and lacking healing is super risky. But it's fun sometimes. I wouldn't take it in a tournament situation, but yeah. Double Griffin plus Steam Tank is a surprising amount of terror for the Empire. People are typically not prepared for that. Let's see here. Yeah, having the artillery to force your opponent into attacking, which is why I was thinking, like, the Greenskins had just brought even one rock lobber that would have completely changed the dynamic of that game. Because, I mean, a Steam Tank can definitely out-trade a rock lobber, but it's going to take a while, and in the meantime, the rock lobber should just be shooting infantry anyway, if it can. So, especially with the infantry packed up in a tight formation like that, it would have forced Cheif to spread out, which would then have allowed the, you know, rush assault to just work better. But doing well, Doom Sage. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, doing really well, actually. Very much enjoying the summer so far. Had a wonderful trip with my fiance to Las Vegas last weekend. That was very fun. I'm not really a drinker, but we definitely got very drunk the whole time, which was fantastic. Had some incredible food, went to some fun shows, and yeah, it was great. Now we've got another trip planned to Idaho. We're going to, again, near Yellowstone next weekend with some family. That should be fun. Get to spend some time outdoors. And then I've also got a trip to Lake Powell in southern Utah later on this month, so quite a bit of travel in the month of June, but it's all well needed. So, yeah, Foot of Gork would have been huge. I mean, Foot of Gork is very good, but I think probably ultimately the right call is to just spam Headbutts because it's so cheap. Yeah, or Rogue Idol, some kind of AoE damage. Even taking, I mean, obviously Warzag's very strong, but you could also take Azag, a little purple sun on that. Not a drinker, just love being drunk. Well, the thing about Las Vegas is they serve alcohol all the time. And it's everywhere, literally around every single corner, everywhere you go. There's some stations selling alcoholic slushies, or, you know, it's a good time. Of course, if you're gambling at a casino, which I probably recommend not doing, but unless you really enjoy losing your money, I think you also drink for free, right? So. Yes. Personally, though, I'm a foodie. Like, I just really love eating, and I mean, was cook for a few years, was a kitchen manager for a few years, so I appreciate food a lot, you could say. So, yeah, one of the highlights for me was going to some really nice restaurants there that were stuff I hadn't tried before, and it was just super delicious, honestly. Oh, so I probably someday will start a Dov Eats channel where I talk about food and do videos about food, but I need to, that might be a space for me to teach myself, like, camera operation and how to work with the lavalier mic and other things in terms of the production side, because it's definitely something I'm interested in learning, even if it's just for myself. But yes, food is the best. Checking in on their picks and bans. Kaalhaarman's gonna pick Empire. And, okay, so Cheif first bans Lizards. Kaalhaarman goes Empire, bans Bretonia, Skaven, and Dark Elves. And Cheif's gonna go with Greenskins. So we're gonna see the reverse of the matchup we just saw. Greenskins versus Empire again. But this time, factions being reversed. Okay. Here. Just a second, guys, while I get this all situated. Right. Easy enough. Love me some classic Greenskins versus Empire. It is the original matchup of Warhammer Fantasy. You could argue Tolkien, everything else, but yeah, I could teach you guys how to cook steak Dov style, or how to do nice dill lemon chicken. What have I done else recently? Like a pepper pork with a blackberry sauce. Yeah, a lot of what I know how to do is proteins, like meat and fish. Did work at a Brazilian steakhouse after all, but yes, I'd love to cook. Well, I actually enjoy it a lot more now that I don't work in the industry, because I can actually take the time to enjoy it instead of just going, you know, because when you're, I mean, like, what we did was more buffet style, but even then, like, you're juggling 100 plates rather than even having to, like, you know, get one plate done at a time. It's a little bit different than being a line cook, but yes. Definitely second channel very soon. I also was thinking for my food channel that maybe I would go and review local restaurants here in the area, or like if I'm traveling, review restaurants, or like get, you know, like try the 5 top local donut places, right? Like get a donut from each place and do like a side-by-side comparison between all of them. I don't know, I've got some ideas for content. I have no idea if anyone would watch it, but it would mostly be for me, I think. Ultimately, almost everything I do for YouTube, at the end of the day, is because I enjoy it. Like, Warhammer has definitely been that. So, and don't get me wrong, the money's great. Like, this trip, for example, with my fiance that I just took to Vegas, wouldn't have been possible, or at least it wouldn't have been as good. Like, we wouldn't have been able to do as much if I wasn't making extra money from YouTube. So I very much appreciate that, but ultimately I do it for the joy of doing it at the end of the day, and I enjoy food a lot, so it'd probably make for good content, I would think, if I'm enjoying myself. What do I think of picanha? Picanha is one of my favorite cuts, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes it's my favorite cut, sometimes it gets switched out by some of the other cuts that we do, but so good. Like, give me some picanha, some feijoada, caipirinha, and I'm set. What do I love? I love almost all foods, pretty much. Like, pretty much all, like, cultural foods, fish, any kind of meat, you know. Like, most foods, even, I'm willing to try at least once that I haven't tried. Almost everything. Like, I'm gonna be honest, people talk bad about American food, and I get it to an extent. Like, you know, processed foods and such are not great, but if you're talking actual American food culture, like, you know, barbecue, American barbecue is freaking delicious, man. And like, you got different local barbecues, like Texas is different from like Kansas City, right? And you get some local variations there, but like that barbecue flavor, that buffalo flavor, Yeah, I mean, American-style pizza, as much as people might think it's a travesty and a crime against nature, oftentimes it's also very delicious. So, America food scene is 10 out of 10. Because we import so much, like, here in Salt Lake City, for example, I didn't realize this, but we have a lot of, like, very good curry, Indian curry places. And, oh, yeah. Oh, I know. I'm well aware that Spain is, you know, one of the best in the world. And have family that has traveled to Spain multiple times. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to travel to Spain in the next year or so. We'll see. I might be able to travel there actually next year, in the fall. So, but yes, definitely, yeah, I don't know. I love experiencing culture through food. I think it's probably my favorite thing. Fast food is a fun gimmick, I will admit. And there are some fast food places that are legitimately pretty good, especially when you're like, you know, a little bit hammered. It's 3 a.m. on a weekend and you're, you know, stumbling around town with your buddies and figure out that the fast food fried chicken place is literally across the street from where you live and stumble across the street. Yes. Well, dear Berlin, most people prefer more open maps for multiplayer battles. Like this is a good example. It's Peak Pass, right? So it does have two pretty large hills and some forests kind of towards the outside, right? So it has some terrain, but the biggest thing is it needs to be balanced and no choke points. People really don't enjoy choke points in multiplayer. It gives just not a very fun gameplay experience. You need opportunities to flank and maneuver for land battles to be really at their best, in my opinion, and most other land battle players' opinion. So you tend to see maps without choke points because of that, but this one is one that it's balanced and has a decent amount of terrain with these two hills and all the forests on the outside. You've got a couple tiny little patches of forest in the center, but then also just this kind of gradual slope up towards the center. You can see on both sides, you don't start with good line of sight on your opponent. Both players kind of start back behind the hill a little bit here, so it's definitely a very interesting map for sure. I love the new skybox too, by the way. Barbecue pineapple pizza, yes. Yes, this is harkening back to the XMT pizza versus pineapple stream, but yes. American barbecue pizza. So you get pizza dough, put barbecue sauce on it, cheese, onions, chicken, obviously, barbecue chicken, and then pineapple and bacon. That's okay, Butcherbird. Not everyone has good taste. Just kidding. Not everyone has to like it, and yeah, it's actually, for me, the rationale is that, I mean, barbecue sauce is sweet and tangy, pineapples are sweet and tangy, paired together, especially with bacon, which also pairs well with sweet type flavors. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Anyway. Let's take a look at the builds here before I get myself in too much trouble. We've got Boris Todbringer up in the air with an Amethyst Wizard, so it's a pretty nice combination over the years. Seen it quite a bit. And War Wagons with a front line of Swordsmen. Got some Empire Knights and one Grenade Launcher Outrider, Knights of the Blazing Sun. So a little bit more of a balanced Empire build with obviously War Wagons. And then let's see here. We've got Azag the Slaughterer, Hammer of Gork, and some Spider Riders. Got 3 Stone Trolls, Error Boys, 2 of them, and the front line of Goblins. Goblin Wolf Riders also coming forward to do a little bit of skirmishing. No ROR, just 4 regular Wolf Rider Archers, so... See, you need to get a barbecue sauce that's more on the tangy side, or even a little spicy barbecue to get some heat in it. But it can get too sweet. That's a good point. If you have a barbecue sauce that's too sweet, Grutz makes a really good point. It can make the dish overall way too sweet. But yeah, typically I'll get a barbecue sauce that's either spicy or like definitely on the tangier side, like less sweet and more almost sour in a way. But yeah. Anyway, taking a look here. Spicier barbecue helps for sure. Let's see here. I got these war wagons. They're going to be out skirmishing pretty heavily. Like, this is not really a skirmish fight that the Greenskins are going to be able to win consistently. Even with, like, Orc Airboys and the Hammer of Gork also. It's going to be wasting a lot of ammunition as a result of this. But meanwhile, over on the other side, these Wolf Riders are just picking away at the Spearmen with Shield, which is also fine. It's quite a cheap unit than to be using their ammunition on. Hot sauces, the saving grace of American cuisine. We definitely know how to do hot sauces, that's for sure. Yes. This will probably go on for some time, but let's see. Looks like Boris and his friend are going to make a little attack run. Fairly risky, but they should have an easy avenue of escape as long as they get out in time. But oof, the Amethyst Wizard took a dive into the archers there and is not going to be able to escape. Azag also hits the ground running and is taking damage from the war wagons while this engagement is ongoing. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag for both players. Azag definitely needs to try and stay away. Like, I get the quick charge to try and get him off, but the war wagons are going to do fairly significant damage here. And the Amethyst Wizard also getting eaten up, though, is a big plus. If you can kill the Amethyst Wizard and kill the war wagons, Azag is a lot safer, but we'll see. Let's see here. Yeah, Empire Knights coming up to support this engagement. Suddenly things just, yeah, both players just investing heavily and kind of escalating the situation fairly significantly. Little Spirit Leech there on the Amethyst Wizard to make sure he doesn't come back. Azag is lurking dangerously close to this position, still taking the damage from the war wagons too, which is just inefficient, but we'll see. Empire's definitely pressing. We've got these Outriders grenade launchers out on this far flank here. Mostly undamaged, although the Wolf Riders will trade very well in the... I mean, not in a direct skirmish, obviously, because they're going to get exploded, but just in general, if they were to charge in, try and, you know, put them in place. We've got the Spider Riders charging from the back, though. They should be able to shut them down. Azag moving in. The Trolls are all bunched up on the left, too, leaving the Goblins a little bit exposed on the far right. Nice gap shot here by Kaalhaarman with these Knights of the Blazing Sun. Let's see if he punishes in time. He's got them through, but slips on the micro to actually get the charge done. They're now, as a result, going to take some damage and get charged even perhaps by those Trolls, but Knights of Blazing Sun, smart pick to have the fire damage for the Trolls, but yeah, Azag just taking so much damage here. Might even charge down into those war wagons, although they'll still fire in melee, so it's not the safest situation even still. Really should probably just like fly over here and try and stay away from the war wagons, honestly, but we'll see. Stone Trolls also sitting idle here. Let's see them get into combat shortly. Yep, looks like they're going to get deployed. Boris is going to come, not chase Azag around, but does come charge, try to terrify away this pocket of troops, along with the Empire Knights. They're going to get rid of those Spider Riders, and the grenade launchers, again, getting hit in melee by Wolf Riders there. So the Spider Riders managed to get screened by Knights of the Blazing Sun. Here, though, Spider Riders getting a wah. They're catching up to the War Wagons along with the Wolf Riders. It's going to be not that much damage output on the War Wagons, but they're keeping them occupied away from the fight, which is super important. It's going to afford Azag a much greater degree of safety as he flutters about here. Maybe tries to get some Spirit Leech on Boris. He's standing directly above Boris's head, but oh no, the Amethyst Wizard comes back just in time for one little Spirit Leech. Yet Spirit Leeched himself off the map, but yeah, actually just straight up dies there to the Spirit Leech. But did manage to get one more off on Azag, which is quite important. That's going to keep this balance of power close. Got this big peripheral engagement playing out over here too that I haven't really been paying much attention to, but Stone Trolls out in space with some goblins and the archers and everything else trying to fight out some swordsmen. They should be able to blast those swordsmen, but the Outriders could definitely maneuver over to help aid in this fight, which it looks like it's exactly what they're going to do. Unfortunately, the War Wagons were unable to be shut down efficiently. I mean, they were tied up, certainly, but the Spider Riders, Wolf Riders, not able to do enough damage to kill them. Empire Knights and Outriders come to save the day as a result. So let's see. Greenskins have most of their power now concentrated down here, along with these two Stone Trolls and Azag up on the high ground on this far side. Unsupported, though, they're going to be in a little bit of a tough situation. Knights of the Blazing Sun also, or Empire Knights even, get a nice open field engagement initially against the Wolf Riders, but they're quickly going to get outnumbered by Spider Riders and Goblins. I guess the Goblins are actually routing, so maybe it won't matter. Maybe they'll just win that engagement out. Especially with Boris charging in, they will definitely just win that engagement out. But it's looking pretty good for Kaalhaarman right now, as long as he can keep cleaning up a lot of the weakened peripheral units and prevent Greenskins from making a big push. I mean, obviously the Stone Trolls being healthy is a little bit of a problem, but Azag has taken so much damage that you could definitely get rid of their leadership in a late game situation, especially with a lack of immune to psychology. Boris can get some terror outs on them pretty easily if they are without leadership, so we'll see. We shall see. Will Kaalhaarman be able to get back in this series? Currently down, does not want to get swept, obviously, but it's looking decent for him in this game. Stone Trolls are kind of maneuvering away. Boris is lurking, trying to maybe get a bead on Azag, perhaps. But Greenskins, again, still quite a bit of value here. The Air Boys really didn't contribute much at all due to the Empire's cavalry and kind of the way the engagement ended up playing out. They didn't really get much of a chance to stand and shoot. It's definitely a problem. Outriders and War Wagons, on the other hand, have been able to shoot effectively pretty much the whole time. See a Spirit Leech now, a beautiful hammer and anvil with double Knights, Empire Knights, and Knights of the Blazing Sun. Follow up with some spears here, Boris himself, and that is going to just crush the spirit of both of these troll units and their HP as well. And that is going to put a pretty decisive dagger into Cheif's game plan here. And it's looking like Kaalhaarman's going to get back in on the series, so Boris could try and pick a fight with Azag. He could at this point, definitely. Azag is still fresh, so he's going to be able to outrun him consistently, but I guess that's what the War Wagons are for. They are very close to finishing poor Azag off. Interesting, again, to not see any squig herds. Not skink herds. That'd be completely different. There it is. There it is. Wow. Yeah, another Empire win over the Greenskins. Love to see it. Knights of the Blazing Sun this time, along with the War Wagons contributing nicely. Amethyst Wizard gets completely crumped, but also manages to get 600 value on a couple of Spirit Leeches there. The grenade launchers also contribute very well in staying alive. Beautiful screening by Kaalhaarman to keep them alive from all the light cavalry of the Greenskins here, as Spider Riders largely struggled, were ineffective as a result. Same with the Rock Lobber here, just really didn't deploy against the right targets. Stone Trolls obviously are going to be very good, as always, but the rest of the build has some issues. Some of the Spider Riders actually get some really nice, or Wolf Riders rather, get some really nice value, but it's interesting. Definitely an interesting GG indeed. Oh, lost squigs. And yeah, I guess that's a game for Kaalhaarman, so we're officially in a series here, folks. Go ahead and update the scoreboard. We'll get on to the next game here. There we go. let them get their picks locked in once again, and let's get to it. Bear with me, guys. I'm gonna just get my fan going here because it's getting a little hot in this room. I'll be right back. Okay, turn the fan on. Got some more water. All set for another round. Another game here. Heorot Ridge, my favorite map, turned into a travesty by CA when they transitioned it from Game 2 to Game 3 somehow, but let's not talk about that. It's still a decent map. Yep. Best of 5, so Cheif can close it out if he wins on this one. Or if Kaalhaarman wins this next game, he will force a Game 5. So let's see if he can stay alive in the series, or can Cheif close it out on this next one. Let's look at the picks and bans. So Kaalhaarman's going to ban Vampire Counts. So far, nothing else. Will we see a Bretonia here, perhaps? Just, thinking. I don't know. Be very, very carefully thinking about his picks. This is an important one, for sure. Try and close this out. Thank y'all so much for coming out, by the way, again. Been a pleasure. Been having an absolute blast today. Yes, Bretonia, please. Be nice, even though Grail Knights are banned and Grail Guardians are limited to 2 per build, and you can't take them in Lance formation. It'll be nice to see some Bretonia, even if it's like a Pegasus Knight or, you know, Hippogriff build. Oh, yes. Just adjusting some things here. Yeah, it's a little bit sad that they went overboard on the Grail Knight buffs, because now they're probably going to be nerfed. Hopefully not too hard, but it is a golden age. I mean, I was joking with someone the other day that this is actually the best patch ever, I mean, Bretonia is meta, right? They're super, super strong. We have a character that literally just counters undead and kills undead, and that's his whole thing. So, as a completely biased person, I would say this is definitely one of the best patches ever. But it's purely from a multiplayer perspective. I know there's some serious issues in the campaign. I saw the community bug fix mod was just updated, so I need to make sure I get that updated on my game and maybe play some campaigns here soon. I'm not sure, but yeah. Kaalhaarman is very busted. Yes, he is. He is so strong. So strong against undead factions. And I kind of went on a rant about this earlier, but I'm actually okay if, you know, Warriors of Chaos are almost an auto-win against vampire counts. I think that's fine with me. Granted, I'm biased. I also watched Warriors of Chaos lose to vampire counts for how many years now? When was Warhammer 1 released? 2016, right? So it's been a lot of years. And yeah, I don't know. I have no sympathy for vampire counts in that matchup. Tomb King's Vampire Coast, on the other hand, are maybe less deserving of my hate, to be honest. And I haven't really tried those matchups out, but I think you could make it work. I don't know. That removing undead ability is so cool and unique. If I'm being 100% serious about it, it's probably something that belongs on a campaign-only unit. Like, I'm not sure that he should even be available in multiplayer. But yeah, against non-undead, he's not amazing. He's pretty low HP. He's pretty pricey as a foot character, so I don't know. On the other hand, like, I'm kind of okay with him being in the game as he is right now. Like, Tomb Kings don't, historically I should say, Tomb Kings don't snipe Footlords very well, so it's an interesting one in that specific instance. Vampire Coast is probably the easiest to deal with him, I would imagine. Granted, I haven't been able to play a ton myself, so take it with a grain of salt, but just, you know, thinking about it. Especially if you had, like, double gun crab, like, you know, 2 White Kings on crabs, like, what is he gonna do? Just run around in circles and get shot to death, you know, against those two? So I don't see it being as big of an issue against the Vampire Coast. Then again, I haven't played it myself, so could be completely wrong on that, but we have Real Human Being and Human Boy in the same chat at the same time. Has this ever happened? Fantastic. Yeah, he only really works well in blob builds because his removal of AoE his removal of undead is in a relatively small AoE. So, and you know, he's best with healing because, like Human Boy said, he has a relatively low HP. You want to keep him from getting sniped, so you end up seeing a lot of like him plus, you know, Plague Boy. Why can't I remember his name? Not Kugath. Festus. Him with Festus and Aspiring Champions. I mean, there's a lot going on there, but it's, yeah, it's strong for sure. Just you messaging back and forth. Like that Pixar short where the old dude's playing chess against himself. Such a good one. Looks like we're gonna go Ogres. Cheif's going Ogres. He's gonna ban Beastmen, Tomb Kings, and Cathay. Kaalhaarman counters with Lizardmen. So we're gonna see Ogres versus Lizards. I don't know. When's the last time I saw this matchup, actually? I feel like it's a relatively unusual one, but yes. Playing chess against oneself is perfectly normal. Human boy, real human being. Yes, yes. That sounds even more Skaven somehow. Human boy, real human being. Yes, yes. Yes, Grails are so strong that they're banned in this tournament, actually. And yes, Grail Guardians and Grail Knights are insane. Guardians a little bit less so, but Grail Knights are just insane. I don't know about Domination, I haven't been keeping up with that community at all, but in land battles, Bretonia is insane. They are absolutely insane. So... even with Grails being nerfed, though, I still think Bretonia is probably one of the top tier land battle factions. They were already pretty good before, but they... and they're still the same faction, more or less. They just got some slight buffs to other things besides Grail Knights, I should say. But, like, the Hippogriff buff was pretty good, and they were somewhat being overlooked because of how insane Grail Knights are. You know, like, the mass buff for Pegasi units also quite nice. Yeah, I mean, the change to the Grail Relic, I feel like will make, like, Foot Squires and other infantry units a little bit better, too, because they melee attack buff. But right now, the focus is just all on Grail Knights. Rightfully so, they're insane, but even without Grail Knights being insane, I still think Bretonia will be quite strong. They'll be able to deal with some of the anti-large melee units, especially that they struggled with before. So, definitely looking forward to playing them. Anyway. Let's get a look at these builds here. What about the Lewin buff? Oh yeah, Lewin, I mean, he was already a very strong pick, but he's even stronger now. I've even seen Albric performing pretty decently. I mean, yeah. Yeah, Hippos got... I mean, granted, Hippos were pretty bad generally before. I mean, there were some niche situations where they could be good, but as a general rule, they were not the best unit. So I think their buff is fine. I haven't played around with them a ton yet, but it seems like they're probably decently costed. Maybe they need slightly more cost, but... I probably will go through and play a Bretonia campaign, though, while this patch is ongoing, while Grail Knights are so insane. Grail Guardians definitely are quite good as well. Let's take a look at these lizard build. This lizard build, anyway. Yeah, Slawn of Life here. We've got a Stegodon, double bow Stegodon. Interesting. So might be trying to long-range trade a little bit here. We've got the Colossodon Hunters up in the sky. And a bunch of Spearsaurus. Makes sense. Staunch line of Spearsaurus. The Colossodons, the Slawn. That's pretty much it. It's a pretty basic build. Skink Skirmishers too, which I've seen a lot more people using these guys over Chameleons lately. I guess just because they're more cost-effective, gives you more volume of fire. But I guess against Ogres too, you're not as worried about return fire, which is, you know, you take this Chameleons a lot for the missile resistance and stock, right? Because they're much tougher to return fire on. So interesting, but we'll see for the Ogre build. Slaughtermaster, we've got some Crushers here, 2 Crusher Scorpions, including the ROR, Lead Belchers also. Lots of Noblar Trappers. I mean, Trappers are just insane now as well. That +5 bonus versus infantry was definitely not needed, but here we are. Snegadons are also good at killing Noblars. That's true. In melee, for sure. Noblars in melee. Speaking of which, front line, Noblars got some Bulls. Saber Tusk Pack, a couple of them as well. Yes, Trappers are... They were already very good in the last patch. Like, I saw no reason to buff them. So, now they're even better. Their melee capability certainly is quite a bit better. I mean, yeah, they're not like the best unit in the game, but they definitely can be cost effective in a lot of situations previously. So, see how they can do in this battle. Cheif's going to be taking a little side approach. Not wanting to just go straight into the teeth of this Lizardman build, although that is going to put him at a little bit of an uphill disadvantage, which I'm not sure I 100% agree with, but it's a start. I'm also looking at the build here for Lizards, and I'm a little bit worried about their ability to kill these Crushers. I'm not really seeing what units are meant to kill the Crushers here. Like the Stegodons with spear support, I guess, and like everything working together, like the Skink Skirmishers, Spears, and Stegodons all in tandem, probably could, but I don't know. Crushers, they're tough. Tough to take out. Yeah, more models on Hippogriff Knights was definitely huge, too. Gorgers are just not that great. They never returned even close to their former glory, unfortunately. So, they probably should just restore their model count at this point, back to what it used to be, or else give them like 130 weapon strength or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert by any means, but yeah, buff their health a bit in their solid. Probably just a little bit too squishy, or increase their offensive output so they can get more damage done in the time that they're alive. Interesting, the bow Stegodons. Right now they're just shooting Ogre Bulls, which, I mean, the Bulls are basically the same price as the Trappers, so it's kind of hilarious. It's not going to be generating a whole lot of actual value, but... yeah, Cheif's getting a big surround here. Look at this massive concave formation here ready to collapse, but I'm a little bit worried about this uphill advance. It's definitely going to hinder his unit's effectiveness as he fights up into that position. Yeah, I might actually maneuver like the power 4 here of the 2 Crushers and the Slaughtermaster, and leave them up on the high ground so they get the best engagement vector, but we'll see. We'll see how this uphill engagement goes. Not a great map for shooting. It's true. Ooh, Stegodon's going to come forward here and just terrify away some Trappers. With the Crushers way out of position over on the far side. They're not in any place to try and help. I'm not sure exactly what Cheif's doing running all the way over there. Just continuously trying to get an outflanking maneuver. But really, Crushers could just charge up the front, to be honest. They could be in here just smashing these Skink Skirmishers right now, cycle charging them and pulling them away. Meanwhile... yeah, or instead, rather, we get a little banishment here, we get some Stegodon cycle charging, and there's not any response really available for the Ogres. But let's see. Bosodon Hunters also could swoop in, like, over on these Bulls on the far side and just take them out, right? Use the Spears for support against the Saber Tusks and whatnot. Ogres just, I think, spreading out a little bit too much here, but the assault is just about ready to begin. Everything's now moving into position, and it is some pretty decent coordination and timing, all things considered. But Lead Belchers, yeah, shooting at the Stegodon, mostly ineffective. Here come the Trappers, moving in. Bosodon Hunters choose to just strike this Ogre Bull right in the center here. And they will massacre them in a big hurry, so... Yeah, so far, Cheif, again, I'm not really sure what the idea here is. If especially charging through the woods with the Crusher is going to be very inefficient. So, definitely needs to get those units engaged as soon as possible, because right now, the rest of his army is suffering pretty badly while they take their journey up and around the flank there. But let's see. Kaalhaarman's just kind of conceding the forest right now, which I also don't agree with. I would definitely move some of these Sora Spears to occupy this space and try and fight the Crushers in the forest. It's a huge advantage that Cheif is just handing you right now that it doesn't look like he's taking advantage of, but just focusing the rest of the army right now, and the piecemeal attack, everything was in a pretty decent position, but Cheif just missed his timing a little bit now. As a result, a lot of these Noblars and other units have taken fairly significant damage. He lost a Bull here, basically for free. Saber-Tusk Pack, same thing. So just the disjointedness of this advance is causing Cheif some problems, and finally the Crushers get into combat. And, I mean, the Crushers might be enough to just carry it on their own, to be honest, even with the mistakes made, but, I mean, like here we see them just absolutely crush Sora Spear. Going to be something similar over here, but operating near and in this forest is going to be a little bit tough, but... Yeah, Lead Belchers are also very open to a flying attack. Absolutely true. There's nothing protecting them. But right now, the Colossadon Hunters are focused in on the center of the formation, on their own backline, and trying to protect. Man, these Crushers just struggling badly in the woods. I'm not sure about how this engagement was taken, but yeah, there go the Sora Spears. The Crushers, of course, are the original Grail Knights. In terms of the Warhammer 3. That's quite a sentence to actually say out loud. Anyway. But, I mean, the Ogres, despite everything, despite all the damage taken, the front was more or less just a feint because it is like 8,000 value, or what? What are these guys? 2,000 each? So what is that? 4,000 plus another 56 here, 6,000, yeah, like 7,000 plus maybe with all the infantry combined in. Push from this side. It's more than half the army, right? So, oof. Colossadon Hunters, though, do eventually go back and shut down those Lead Belchers. That's going to be another notch in their belts. They've already managed to do almost 1,000 damage value. That's going to be another 1,000 easy there. But will it end up mattering? The Crushers right now are just punishing super heavily, and I almost wonder, you know, if they had been a little bit better on their timing, they could have saved a lot of these Noblars, but the Noblars have just been savaged instead. Sky Striders, though, are definitely tough, and there's, like I said from the beginning, there's not a lot in this Lizardman build that can actually threaten the Crushers, so although things seem very promising initially, the balance of power even is teetering a little more in their favor. We'll see if the Ogre units are able to sustain this. Right now, it's like really these two Sora Spears and the Stegodons here, but the Skink Skirmishers are very much at risk from the Ogre mobility here. Got some units coming back in. The Colossadons are paying a bit of a price, too, for taking out those Lead Belchers. A couple of Trappers came back and were doing some ranged damage to them. Let's see here. Yeah, as soon as the Saurus turn around, the Crushers are just going to rear charge in. This time, they didn't get that great of a charge, it looks like, as they're kind of, yeah, a little bit, they didn't actually, like, fully punch through the unit there, which is generally when they do the most damage, but still, Cheif right now trying his best to clean up some of these routing units, chase some of these skinks off, gets the trappers in a position to try and screen Colossadons, but Saurus leadership is definitely fairly solid, and the Crushers just have so much work left they have to do in order to win this battle, but they definitely can. Definitely can. A little bit of healing from the Lizardmen, trying to sustain those Sora Spears as they fight it out here. We also see Troll Guts as well. A little bit of overhealing being done, actually a significant amount of overhealing perhaps, but it is going to allow these Crushers to decisively win this engagement. Yeah, large units get 20% less attack and speed in the forest, which is an important thing to make note of. But will we see the Crushers finally go after Stegodons here? Looks like in this instance we do. Sora Spears are nearby and in a position to potentially support. One's got a Flesh to Stone there. Crushers, surprisingly, not doing that much damage to the Stegodon, as not that many unit models are able to get in contact there on that engagement, but yeah, the Crushers just trying to kind of maneuver where they have support units. I guess, and just deal damage to whatever high-value targets they can get after. This Slon's looking a little exposed right now. So it looks like the Sky Striders might try and charge in there, while these other Crushers kind of kite away. Those Crushers are approaching their healing cap, though. So, oh man, the Sky Striders got stopped up by something. I'm not sure what exactly, but looks like they're going to peel sideways and go into these Skink Skirmishers instead, plus the Saurus Spears. Oof, this is dangerous. The Clossodon Hunters are moving in. This could be a situation where the Sky Striders could actually take some damage. Saurus Spears supporting. It looks like the Clossodon Hunters actually are not going to attack there. Might have missed their opportunity when they could have fought with a little bit of support. But instead, the Crushers are able to get away pretty much scot-free without any repercussions. Lizardmen doing a good job staying high and tight, though. Kaalhaarman's a little bit ahead on damage value. Both players with plenty of healing left, too, I would imagine. I mean, the Slon's obviously going to get more heals than the Slaughtermaster will, just due to the way the magic kind of regeneration and the spell mastery as well, just increasing the raw healing, right? Greater Arcane Conduit. I guess he doesn't necessarily get more magic overall, just gets his magic faster and more impactful. But, man, this little patch of woods here is just so clutch for Kaalhaarman right now. As the Ogres are forced to fight in and around it. Going to be significantly debuffed, but the Crushers definitely still crushing. You can see now them charging in a couple units. Bullgorger on one to buff up their melee attack with weapon strength. Clossodon Hunters move in and just immediately start taking massive damage. They did pop their Toad Rage, though. They're also going to be dealing significant damage back to those Sky Striders. Man, it's not looking great for the Ogres right now as they start to get worn down. As I said, the biggest risk to the Crushers is just getting outnumbered, and with Lizardmen having all hands fighting in the forest, this is a very much an ideal situation for them. They've got Skinks, they've got Saurus, they've got big lizards, no support units for the Ogres. You know, all the support units are outside the forest, so just a pretty bad engagement for Cheif, honestly. And Lizards are going to push back the Ogres as a result. Looks like he's going to try and reform, maybe for another push outside of the woods. But, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Vigor and Terrain debuffs all should show on the unit card. Like, if I mouse over the Stegodon right now, it should show the debuffed melee attack and everything from being in the woods. But it looks like Cheif's going to throw in the towel there, so it does force a Game 5. What a series, guys. Kaalhaarman taking it to the finish there. Fighting back with the Lizards. And, again, I think Cheif made a little bit of a mistake on how he approached that. I would have definitely kept the Crushers on the high ground. Maybe still go for that full envelopment, but, you know, keep your high-value units attacking from the top and in the open space. But anyway. Let's take a look at the values. Yeah, the Ripper ROR got some really nice value. Both the Stegodons as well. I like as a kind of piece against Gnoblars quite a bit, actually. They both just tanked out and did quite a bit of damage themselves. Saurus Spears, obviously, going to be very good in this matchup. The Skink Skirmishers didn't do that much, but they're mostly just here for supports. The Crushers, both Crushers got good value, but not quite what you would want to see. Again, they just deployed a little bit late and kind of hung the rest of the army out to dry a little bit there. Bulls do okay. Lead Belchers, okay. I mean, a lot of these units get pretty close or actually do pay for themselves. It's just weren't quite able to finish things off in terms of the single entities. Healing single entities for the Lizardmen, just too strong at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, just the lack of support there at the end for the Crushers. Crushers definitely could have beat these guys if they had not had to fight so much support. But anyway, Clossodon Hunters definitely carried hard for sure. Yeah, the anti-large ROR Ripper has, it's true, it's usage and everything is very, very different. It is pretty much a completely different unit than the base version. That's kind of what makes it cool in my opinion. see. Get the music back up and get ready for this game 5. I'm glad this went to 5 games, honestly. It's always nice when a series is exciting and has a lot of drama, right? Keeps people interested, so what a series it's been. Yeah, Lizards played it very well. Definitely played it very well. Yeah, Toad Rage on such a fragile unit is so fun. It is, definitely. Definitely. They are absolute glass cannon. Like, one of the most glassiest of cannons in the game, for sure. But they're so rewarding when they're used correctly. So, love to see it. Love to see it. I guess I should probably update the scoreboard then. It is officially 2-2, and the winner of the next match is the winner of this series. So let's see what they pick on their army picks. What if we see a Bretonia mirror, actually? That'd be kind of hilarious. Gonna be quite the game, I'm sure. Oh. Let's bear with. See what they got. Yes. Definitely good. Messages here. Cool. Let's see here. Just looking over some messages, and it's Crossroads, of course. The Crucible of Greatness, the ultimate flat map, the featureless expanse of glory. That is the Crossroads. Are you excited for Pharaoh game? Looks kind of cool. Felt excitement, but after Troy was kind of a little bit let down. One thing I think that Pharaoh has going for it is it's not trying to like straddle mythological / fantasy and historical. It is properly, it seems like, a historical game. So that's kind of boosts my interest in it to a degree. As an enjoyer of the classic historical Total War games, I think, for me at least, both Three Kingdoms and Troy missed the mark in trying to combine the sort of mythological, legendary aspects with the historical aspects. I think it's good they're focusing on just history this time. And as a result, I'm definitely interested. I haven't had a chance to play the campaign yet. The battles I played were fun. It's Total War. I mean, it's not absolutely groundbreaking by any means. The new features and mechanics are not, like, out of this world. I think they could probably tweak the numbers up on those to make them more impactful. But overall, I mean, it's Total War. It's something that I love already, so good chances are if you enjoy Total War battles and you're a fan of the historical Total Wars, you're probably going to enjoy it. I would definitely recommend against pre-ordering it for the time being, until you see some campaign gameplay and just more of the game in general. But definitely I am going to... I've got a couple more videos lined up for it over the next couple of days. One today, one Tuesday. And then once I get the chance to get some campaign gameplay, I'll probably show it to you guys as well. But yes, that's my thoughts on Pharaoh, basically, in a nutshell. Nemedocena of Warhammer 3, it's true. Dank memes. Classic dank memes. Dawimir for the final or Vampire Kaalhaarman for the final? No, absolutely not. Cheif's gonna ban Dark Elves. Interesting choice. Yeah, and that's exactly my point, is that Warhammer does fantasy so well, you don't need, like, a Total War mythology. Like, it would be cool, maybe someday, in the far future, but fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy is scratching that itch perfectly. You don't need more, so... Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The battles we got to play were all Egypt versus someone else, which makes sense given the kind of the way that they're theming the game around Egypt, but I'm definitely interested to play the Hittites, and sort of the Sea Peoples and some of the other factions besides Egypt that are in the game. I'm definitely looking forward to playing them. Hopefully we'll also see some more, like, culture DLCs down the line, like they did for Troy. That introduce maybe like you said, the Canaanites or some other kingdoms, cultural groups, whatever around that area. Let's see. So far, nothing else has come down the pipeline for picks and bans, so we're just waiting there. Oh yeah, they'll definitely add more factions for sure. Just a matter of what they will be, what they'll look like, you know? But, yeah, I mean... Troy was fun, but it just... I don't know. Failed to capture the essence of Total War for me, so... Another big benefit of Pharaoh also is that, like Troy, it's made by the same studio as Troy, right? And Troy was a test bed for a lot of concepts that later were implemented in Warhammer 3, right? Like the multi-resource system is in the base game that ended up going to Chaos Dwarfs, obviously. You have the Warband system that it started out in one of the DLC factions, I think, for Troy. Ended up moving to Champions of Chaos and was instrumental in that DLC for Warriors. So, like, I think it's great for them to have a test bed, a little bit of a more niche product, niche audience. They can kind of experiment with some different, more wild things and then bring the best ideas over to Warhammer. What mostly happened with Troy. So, I'm also, I mean, it will benefit Warhammer in the long run to have Pharaoh and to be able to experiment with stuff in that space, definitely. So let's see here. Still nothing else on the picks and bans, just waiting on them to get those finalized. Getting close to... Yeah, actually over 2 hours already on today's stream, so it's been a blast. Thank you all so much for coming out. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really been enjoying today. Got some great games so far, and hopefully we finish with a banger as well. yes. Sorry, just give him a little stretch there. Yes. What else is new in the world of Total War? Yeah, DLCs hopefully will be out for Warhammer 3 this summer sometime as well. I'm not sure. But I could see them being... I don't know, did they actually release a timeline when they did the... Did they actually say any dates? Or did they just say like Q3, Q4 when they did the roadmap? Let's see here. Find it. Yeah, it just says Q3 2022, so it could be, you know, like, I guess that's, what, June? What? Hang on, I can math. What is that, like July, August, September? So, somewhere in that time frame, towards the back half of the summer, we'll be seeing the next, oh no, wait, that's not right. I'm looking at the old roadmap. Here we go. Yeah, summer 2023 is Shadows of Change, so that'll be coming, and then winter 2023, hopefully, you know, December, we'll be seeing the Thrones of Decay. So definitely looking forward to that one the most. But Shadows of Change should be interesting too. I'm definitely looking forward to a Kislev update. Definitely. I think they... Obviously, Cathay 2 could use a roster update, but I definitely care more about Kislev personally. So... I am not playing Diablo 3, no. Or Diablo 4, rather. I've never been a huge fan of the Diablo games, personally. And... yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. So I'm not buying it, not playing it. It also helps that Activision Blizzard seems to be an absolutely terrible company. Definitely helps my decision to not buy it, but I probably wouldn't have bought it anyway, to be honest. It's just not my jam. No, nothing wrong with people who are enjoying it, of course, but just not for me. All right, looks like Kaalhaarman's gonna go Beastmen. Wow. Final game of a best of 5 in a semi-final round, and he's going Beastmen. That is a bold choice. He's gonna ban Cathay, Coast, and Counts. So let's see how Cheif responds. We could see a wild Bretonia pick here, maybe. Or I'm trying to think what else he hasn't played yet. Could try Tomb Kings. I feel like Tomb Kings against Beastmen is probably the worst of the undead matchups, but it is still undead against Beastmen. Yeah, you've got Monogods factions open, or Warriors of Chaos potentially, that could also do okay against Beastmen. Nurgle especially would be pretty nasty here, I think. Take Kugath and then just stuff to kill Ungor Raiders and win, probably, honestly. But not that bold. Less bold than picking Demons of Chaos first game. I agree with that, for sure. Oh, I believe Kaalhaarman's a beast with the Beastmen. I believe it. It's just, yeah. And on paper, that's a really risky pick. Beastmen are good against Nurgle, really. How do you kill Kugath? I mean, I guess, even without Ungor Raiders, what, just like surround with Minotaurs or maybe a Gorgon, the ROR Gorgon, with his scaling damage, maybe actually is probably really good against Kugath. Well, considering it's tied to Nurgle, Tamarkan is probably going to be the Lord for Nurgle. I would imagine that they'll do Elspeth, and since she's associated with Nuln, probably Nuln-focused units. I don't know, but... Beastmen versus Bretonia. Okay, so Cheif is going to the Brets. Probably see some Guardians here. Might see some Pegasus Knights. We'll see. Beastmen versus Bretonia. With no Grail Knights, keep in mind. Grail Knights are banned, so... Don't do that, Doomsage. That sounds very unsanitary. Do you know what people do with money? Do you know what dollar bills go through? Or any currency, I would imagine. In any country, any paper currency is going to have a hard life. So you don't want to be putting that near any of your orifices, let's say. Don't eat money. Also, don't stick it up your... Anyway. Gorgons and throwing axes. Yeah, that makes sense. That actually does make sense. And Beastman's mobility can outtrade Nurgle mobility pretty heavily, I would imagine. So, yeah, it's interesting. I would have thought that they would struggle against Nurgle, but no, maybe it does kind of make sense. Raiders. Yeah, Raiders is the biggest threat I would see to Kugath. Definitely. Like, if I were going to build in this matchup, I would definitely build, like, Kugath, Hounds and Toads and Furies, probably. What else is banned right now? In this tournament, Chaos Dwarfs, because the tournament started before Chaos Dwarfs came out. They're not allowed. And also Harry the Hammer, again, same thing, was not in the game when the tournament originally started, so... Looking good. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Gonna be very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, like, oh yeah, actually the scaling damage... I forget always that the Regiment of Renown Gorgon actually has scaling damage. Not to mention a huge HP pool and a really strong self-heal in melee, so... I can definitely see that guy giving Kugath run for his money. Even Giants, actually, like 2v1 Giants versus Kugath probably do pretty well. Beastmen do have access to Giants, of course. So, between those two SCMs, I think that's probably enough to kill Kugath. Also have no idea how good the Jabberslythe is in that matchup, but in theory it could be good. Not at killing Kugath, but at killing everything else. It is a little sad to me that a lot of those kind of monster beater, or world beater monsters, I should say, the anti-large, you know, top tier monsters, like, a lot of them are not very good. The Gorgon is definitely one that's very strong, but, like, Shaggoths are really not incredible. Necrosphinxes, same thing. Like, there's a few units in that class that are just kind of underwhelming. Would be nice to have some buffs. When's the last time you saw a classic Shaggoth? I mean, granted, Shaggoth with healing, double Shaggoth with like a Nurgle Sorcerer can be quite strong, actually, but it's just almost always more efficient to take Giants or other things. Never thought I'd say that, but here we are. Bloodthirsters are sad most of the time. Yep, that's another one in that unit class. It's just very much sad. Trying to think through some others. I mean, I don't know if you would class the Charybdis in that class. It's okay. I mean, it's just kind of there. I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion about the Charybdis because it exists. But what else? Even after all this time, what are they? Slaanesh boys. Slaanesh Greater Demons are still not that great. They can be really good, but it just seems like a lot of the time they're just really underwhelming. Why can I not keep her secrets? That's right. I'm trying to think of other kind of high-tier anti-large monsters. Carnosaur is another one that's a little underwhelming for sure. Not that Lizardmen need more buffs, but Kislev Big Bear was sad from the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, they gained damage. They also benefited greatly from the switch to percentage-based heals since they have a built-in self-heal. Yeah, and they also just have a huge HP pool to begin with, like higher than a lot of other units on that list. Not only do they have self-healing, but just higher base HP as well. Yeah, in fact, if I just quickly transition on over to this, if I don't give away builds here, I can take a look at the unit browser real quick. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I'll probably have to wait, but anyway. Be just about ready here. Okay, yep, just about ready. Doomsage getting his messages removed by the YouTube bots. That's funny. Rather see some rock throwers. Cygors are definitely a unit. Cygors are a unit that you can take. Often can be good, but I'm very often frustrated by their accuracy as well. It just kind of depends. If someone you think might try and infantry rush you and you want to really make them have bad time, yeah, just Cygors, nice widespread build, hit and run, fight a little bit, match them with rocks. It's definitely worked for me in the past, but I don't know. Cygor accuracy right now I feel is not spectacular. It's been a while since I've tried, but those monstrous artilleries are tricky because if they're too strong, they're very oppressive, but if it's very easy for them to be too weak as well. So not on live chat, I don't think, Doomsage. I think comments sometimes. And again, it's all voodoo, but no, it's just that the YouTube will flag them automatically and not display them. So Skaven one. Oh yeah, the Hell Pit's pretty terrible too, although that's mostly down to its extremely terrible speed and responsiveness. Anyway, let's take a look at these builds here. We've got Torox, the Brass Bull, for... Oh, I better update the factions here. And then we've got here, yes. All right. Excellent. So we're ready now for the final of the semifinal. I mean, the streams are definitely monetized. I make a little bit of money on the back end when people watch them, but... The Frostworm's still in the game? Yeah, actually, the Regiment of Renown Frostworm is pretty good. It's got decent stats. It's a dragon. You only pay 100 extra for the ROR status. So it's actually pretty solid. I'm a fan in some matchups. Definitely quite vulnerable, but dragons in general are just a little bit better than they were in the past at times. Anyway, we've got, for the Beastmen, frontline of Ungor Spear Herds, Doombul, or sorry, no, Taurox, full-on Taurox, Ray Shaman of Wild, 2 Minotaur's Great Weapons, 3 Centaurs, including the Regiment of Renown, Grog Hooves of Wolves Run, or whatever. Yes. ROR has a double slow effect. Yes, very good. Let's see here. Peasant mobs and some men-at-arms. We've got some spear men-at-arms here, a couple of peasant bows, and it looks like Knights of the Realm, 2 Grail Guardians. Yes, so this is the max allowed, 2 Grail Guardians. And then Knights of the Realm, 2 of them. We've got 2 Paladins, plus the Fae. So, classic Bretonia. See how it does. Double Frostworms is amazing tech into box factions like Chaos Dwarfs and Cathay. Interesting. Yeah. YouTube, my job or hobby? For me, it's a hobby. I have a day job that pays my bills, and it's on a... Basically, I do, like, ads, more or less. I make ads and do other, like, graphic design work for Brazilian Steakhouse, so... Yeah, that pays the bills, thankfully. I would be really stressed if this was my job. I think I would enjoy it a lot less. So I'm actually very grateful that I have a job that gives me the time I need often to... pretty much all the time. Very understanding. It gives me the time I need to do the channel and manage it. It also helps that, like, a lot of my skills that I'm using in my job right now were developed through running the channel. So, I mean, my employer sees it as a benefit overall to my skills and to my value to the company, so they're more than happy to accommodate, you know, if I ask for, like, for example, if I know I'm going to have an early access time period, then I will ask for some extra time off or try and get the jobs done ahead of time, you know, so that I can have more time to work on YouTube stuff. So it's been great. It's been really, really great, honestly. For me, at least, it's a perfect kind of setup, because then I don't have to stress about the channel paying for my life, and I can just enjoy doing it for the sake of doing it, you know? Total fans. Yeah, you guys want to see me on OnlyFans? Just loading, you know, 17th century muzzleloader pistols and firing them. That'd be fun. Let's see what they can do here. Let's see what they can do. These Guardians are going to be quite good, of course. They've got the new Knight attribute and Blessing of the Lady, which now gives 15% ward save. Of course, will deactivate if the unit routs, but Perfect Vigor as well, as always, and now with massive armor-piercing damage. 38 AP, 24 base weapon strength, 59 melee defense, 50 charge, 120 armor as ever. Let's see what they can do here. I know, right? I'm employed by reasonable human beings. It's crazy. It's honestly a wild world to be employed by people who are, you know, not terrible people. Forza Lady, yes. I'm glad we get to see at least one Bretonia game. They're having their time in the sun, even if they are way too strong to the point of being banned. Still nice to see some new Grail Guardians. I do wish that they had given these guys the like size and animation profile of the Chaos Knights. I think that would be kind of appropriate, to be honest, but it's all good. See what they can do. Bretonia is just maneuvering forward. Sons of Goros and these other Centaurs maneuvering out on the side here. Try and challenge. Same thing with these other Centaurs over on this side, trying to go for a full surround. But Yeah, Knights of the Realm forward here are going to have to be careful not to get in straight engagements against the Minotaur's great weapons. Even the Grail Guardians don't want to necessarily just get a full straight-up engagement into them. Although certainly the Guardians plus support will be enough to just smash the Minotaurs, I would imagine. We'll see. Groghooves are going to pull up here to the side. Try and get some throwing axes in on the Guardians. Poison them a little bit here, do some damage. But Bretonian archers are in the space to respond. Let's see if Cheif gets the attack order. Yep, it looks like he's going to switch there. Maybe if they can get a volley off. The Groghooves, of course, with their regeneration, aren't going to really worry too much about that. It's more so just about forcing them out of position and allowing them to just fire. But let's see. The Beastmen have a lot of high-impact units. A lot of high-charge units here, so going to see some big all-in at some point. I'm a little bit worried about tools for killing Taurox. I mean, I guess if you get him in a surround with the Guardians and with the Paladins, he will be done for in a pretty big hurry, but right now he's just coming forward, kind of picking at Cheif here, probing for weaknesses. Minotaur's great weapons are following up in a position to immediately punish the Guardians. Oof. Taurox, though, just rolled deeper into that blob of peasant mobs. That is going to lead him to getting attacked here by the Guardians. Be nice if we could see, does he have Favor of the Fae here? He does have Favor of the Fae. That would be a good time to pop it on those Grail Guardians as they have a little bit of a surround on Taurox. And look at this. The characters for Bretonia, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about what Kaalhaarman is thinking exactly with this little attack here. Ooh, it looks like he's going to throw in Traitorkin. That is going to do a substantial amount of damage to those Guardians and all the characters. The question is it going to be worth it? If he takes too much damage on Taurox, it won't be. But the Minotaurs also are able to charge in here and maybe get some damage on the Guardians. So suddenly things turn around for Bretonia. They have to pull out of that engagement there. And yeah, I guess just forcing the blob, try and get good value off of that Traitorkin. It's definitely good, smart play. See the Minotaurs also punching through over on this side, trying to penetrate back into the back line here, but they are going to get counteracted by the Grail Guardians. Ooh, the Guardian's going to get a nice charge into the back of the Minotaurs. Should be doing some pretty hefty damage there. And they pull back away before overextending too far. Speaking of overextending, Taurox once again overextends past his line of support. And this time there's a couple of barriers of peasants blocking the direct charge from these power units to try and support him. So Taurox taking a massive amount of damage during this process, and if he gets taken out here, that's going to be a huge problem for the Beastmen. Will give them a serious leadership deficit as the game goes on, but Taurox is a tough cookie. He's going to hold out for some time, allow the Minotaurs to again get another rear charge, and it looks like lining up another Traitorkin, this time with bonus Knights of the Realm in the vicinity. We're going to see a response from the Fae, a quick Earth Blood to try and keep these units online, but those Guardians, man, they just got absolutely savaged and probably did not pay for themselves in this situation here. Just the multiple spells and rear charges. Yeah, ooh, nice bombardment from the Fae, though. Drops a comment on those Ungor Spears. That's going to break them. The other Guardians also peel over to this engagement to try and finish it off. So it's definitely back and forth, but I think, I mean, we'll see a double envelopment here as the triple envelopment even, as the Minotaurs rear charge the Grail Guardians, that rear charge the Minotaurs, that rear charge the other Grail Guardians. And it's just a big mess of rear charges, all successively one after the other. But let's see a little regrowth here on these Grail Guardians to try and keep them in the fight. The Minotaurs, great weapons. There's, yeah, the support for Bretonia. I mean, it's just peasant mobs that are routing. There's no real spear support here, and it looks like one of the Guardians is routed. The other one is still fighting. Another brutal Traitorkin here. I mean, that is just generating so much value right now for the Beastmen. But it's a pretty brutal trade. I think the Minotaurs are actually going to end up winning out, and Taurox also will just barely survive here. Let's see. Favor of the Fae on this Paladin as he gets a couple of critical attacks. The Fae herself also punching in, and they manage to rout Taurox and even kill him. The finishing blow there. And Knights of the Realm also have been free for most of this. Bretonia is cleaning up quite a bit of this sector of the battlefield. This Knights of the Realm then gets some really clutch rear charge in here on this blob. Can they break those Minotaurs? I mean, certainly the Paladins now with the Fae Enchantress are at risk. Ooh, the Faenchantress getting very low. She pops an Earthblood on herself to try and keep in the fight. Looks like those Centaurs that were threatening her also rout, so Bretonia starting to get a nice little set of breathing space there, but overall the balance of power is still in the Beastmen's favor, as they've still got a lot of these Centaurs alive over here. Regiment of Renowned Centaurs in particular are quite tough with their regeneration and everything else, and the Faenchantress is also quite low. We'll see, though. I mean, the Fey Drain, of course, will wear down in a long battle, and we do have some Guardians coming back from rout. The handful of companions here charging in. Another Traitorkin, though. That Traitorkin has been so impactful. Bretonia needs to try and finish off that caster if they can, but right now he might be able to actually carry the Beastmen to victory here. Another Traitorkin could seriously threaten the Faenchantress's health, but oh man, look at this Comet being dropped here. Beastmen scatter to the four winds. Can they get away in time? I believe largely they will. Yeah, most of that is actually going to end up doing damage to Bretonians, which is a little bit unfortunate, but Spears holding out. Faenchantress gets in. She's going to debuff melee attack. I guess Blessing of Mr. Lady is not hitting them. Mr. Lady a little bit inconsistent there, it looks like. But Grail Guardians still holding out. There's, what, a handful of them? 8 of them here, with their leadership still at 23, but the Groghooves move in swiftly to try and finish them off. Yeah, it's Bretonia's pulled back ahead on the balance of power as the Beastmen's leadership starts to suffer pretty badly. We've got a lot of the army routing here, whereas Bretonia is keeping at least enough units together to... what is happening here? Faenchantress is just, like, not charging in, letting the Paladin get killed there. I don't know, though. A lot of what Bretonia has left is infantry, so this stuff is all going to be able to come back from rout for the Beastmen. And, I mean, Kaalhaarman can certainly form up another pocket of troops and try and make a nice big surround push and break these infantry. I mean, a lot of the infantry are also suffering pretty badly for Bretonia in terms of their leadership, and no more mobility for them. The Paladin's been shut down. These Grail Guardians, 4 of them left, are also going to get taken out here. Let's see. Yeah, the Ungor Spearman herds break there. The Fae just staying tight on the peasant infantry is going to be tough. There's a lot of HP to get through, but there's also some pretty healthy units here still, like this Centaur, for example. But notice how it actually has the charge order on the back unit here. Let's watch the damage on this initial unit. They'll take some impact damage, but it's not going to be too strong. We do have some Knights of the Realm coming back as well for Bretonia, so that's going to be pretty critical in order to try and counteract, although they are so low that they, yeah, might have been nice to get them in on that little Earthblood right there, but let's see what the Bretonians can do. They might just get cycle charged to death by Centaurs here. That is a distinct possibility. Question is, can the Fae finish? Ooh, she's going to get surrounded by Centaurs there, and the Fae, honestly, is not super tanky, although her Blessing of the Lady now gives physical resistance. It's a less overall effect than it was before, so she's actually getting less mitigation. And here, yeah, she takes a lot of damage from those Centaurs on the surround. She's got to be super careful. And the caster also charging in on his chariot. Favor of the Fae on those Spearmen at Arms as they fight against Centaurs, but I'm not particularly confident. Ooh, if they could have broken that Bray Shaman right there, that would have been really nice. But oh, instead we see a massive Traitorkin hits the entire Bretonian army. It's probably going to finish off the Knights of the Realm there. It's probably going to finish off the Faenchantress. Maybe not actually, but we'll see. Yeah, Knights of the Realm, though, I believe are done. Their leadership's just barely holding on right now, but I don't think they're long for this world. Another Earthblood there on the Faenchantress. Keep her infantry nice and healed up. But, yeah, I mean, the superior mobility for the Beastmen at this point, the amount of Centaurs that are still alive is a huge problem. This cycle charge they can keep up for most of... I mean, they can just keep it up, pretty much, at this point, and not be punished at all, really, for it, and can definitely take out the rest of this infantry. So, I'm going to probably call this one in favor of Kaalhaarman. Cheif did his best there. And he played it as best he could, but just, yeah, ultimately running out of mobility units in order to protect his infantry. And just the Centaurs, man, so strong in this late game situation. Now we see the tide turning against Bretonia, and that will be a victory for Kaalhaarman. So all the way down from a 2-0, the reverse sweep successfully executed. I guess, yeah, she does have magic resistance. I forgot about that against the Traderkin. Will do some damage to her, but not nearly as much. Yeah, the Fae, though, relatively squishy in melee. Let's see what she can do here. Will she be able to finish off the Bray Shaman? I mean, all of her supporting infantry is gone, so it's just a matter of her getting surrounded by the Centaurs. I do feel like if Mrs. the Lady is what it was in the past, Bretonia probably would have won here, but the damage from Mrs. the Lady is just really not that great. I think it probably would have been better off to have Lewin here, honestly, but it's still a great game. Great series to both these players. Kaalhaarman just barely eking out the win there at the end of the day, but man, that Traderkin caster was so important in order to limit the effectiveness of those Grail Guardians, and both of them were fairly well limited. A lot of the rest of the Bretonian army does okay. I mean, reasonably cost-effective at times, but also some pockets do struggle pretty badly. Yeah, the Knights of the Realm maybe could have been used a little bit better, and that just largely speaks of a lot of the Bretonian cavalry. I think Kaalhaarman did a good job of grabbing the initiative and forcing Cheif to react to him, right? He was charging him with Taurox, forcing Cheif to react, and sort of dictating the pace of the engagements in that way. But yeah, credit to him. Nasty Traderkin there. Absolutely one of the strongest spells in the game for dealing with something like Grail Guardians, so love to see that there. Minotaur's Great Weapons also performed quite well. Despite getting Taurox sniped, he was able to pull out the win there at the end, so very fun stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream. It's been a blast. I'll definitely be casting, assuming that BBB folks will allow me to. I'm pretty sure I'm casting the final. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be. But congratulations to both players. Kaalhaarman moves now on to the grand final. So thank you all so much for coming out. It's been my absolute pleasure to be with you today. Yeah, be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed for more awesome Warhammer 3 content. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.